meeting because unfortunately Stacy, our president, had her father pass away this morning. So we're all going to send our most positive thoughts her way. In any case, welcome. I'd like to call the meeting to order of April 6, 2026. And the agenda and supporting documents are posted to our website on the Saturday prior to our board meetings. You can access the information by clicking on Board of Ed under About Us and click on Agenda and Minutes. If you would like to make a public comment to the Board of Ed, please review and complete our public comment card with Ms. Bain. We will call on you in order of what we receive. We will receive public comments during agenda item number 2. Public comments are an opportunity for the community to address the board, although there is no dialogue. All study sessions, special meetings, and business meetings with school board are conducted in public and always offer an opportunity for the public to come before the board. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes each, and go blue. Our district mission is to support each student's needs by providing the opportunities, experiences, and educational tools for their journey. Our district vision is that all students will be communicators, contributors, critical thinkers, and collaborators, empowering each for a life ahead. As a board member, we adhere to our norms, including our social contract, which is that we be respectful, practice active listening, model our 4 C's, which are communicator, contributor, critical thinker, and collaborator. Make data-driven decisions, focus on the whole district, act positive intent, we govern, not manage, we steer, not row. Okay. Item 2 is our public comments. Have there been any public comments? Then we'll just move on to item number 3.
Dr. Hurd.
Oh, Donnie wanted to say something.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
So at the May 20th meeting, we have to have a special meeting right before the regular meeting at 6:30 p.m. at West Bloomfield High School. The reason for this is similar to 2 years ago actually, when Oakland ISD does their board elections where you guys vote on the open seat for their Oakland ISD board seat. Per their bylaws, it has to be on our agenda twice, okay? So we have to, there has to be a review and then a vote. The issue is our study session is on the date that they actually close the window for the candidates, so we will not get a full candidate list by May 4th. So the same exact thing happened 2 years ago. And Carol actually led us through that process. We just had a meeting at May 20th at 6:30 where it was on the agenda and reviewed, and then it's reviewed again at the regular meeting at 7 p.m. And that constitutes 2 reviews, which is acceptable to Oakland ISD per their. Obviously, as soon as we get the materials, we'll provide that to you right away so that you can do your candidate review. You'll have an opportunity to discuss it with the board at the 6:30 meeting, and then you'll vote on it at the regular meeting. We'll send a meeting invite tomorrow, but I didn't want to send it without context.
So that's May 20th, you said?
It'll be May 20th at 6:30. Yeah, it's on the day of our, wait, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, 18th, right?
18th, I apologize. I don't know why I have May 20th in my mind. May 18th. Yeah, May 4th, May 18th. So my apologies, May 18th at 6:30. So the same day as the regular meeting. So I'll quickly just repeat it. We have to have a special meeting on May 18th, 6:30 p.m. right before the regular meeting. The reason for that is Oakland ISD is doing their elections for their board. They have an open board seat on the county board. And we have to review it for 2 meetings. The problem is our study session is on the same day that their candidate window closes, so we won't have it for that meeting. So this happened 2 years ago when Carol ran for the ISD board, and we had to have 2 meetings back to back because it'll be reviewed at the first meeting at 6:30, and then it'll be voted on at the second, and it'll constitute 2 reviews. So we'll send a meeting notice so it's on your calendar tomorrow morning, but just wanted you to be aware.
Thank you.
I'll just talk to Julie after.
Yeah. She's
requires every ISD to establish a parent advisory committee, which means that each district then has to also have some PAC reps. The PAC gives advice and feedback on how the ISD provides special education programs and services. And of course, at the district level, they're able to have a positive impact on special education programs and policies. Our rationale for this are, I'll skip the order. We have a fantastic PAC rep currently, Amanda Baker. She is stepping down from this role. She is a new position at Retchco actually this school year, and it's just been a lot for her to balance. So she's been fantastic in growing our PAC since I've come on board last school year. But with this change, we do need to find a couple more PAC representatives. And again, it really does provide that structured, consistent forum for families to connect and to provide their parent perspective on our programming across the district. So with that, we have two PAC reps that we're presenting tonight for recommendation. The first one is Nikki Melville. She has a few children in the district and is very familiar with our special education programming. She has students on the autism spectrum. She has one in a center-based program, so she's really experienced our full continuum of support. There's some background information about Nikki. She works at ACS actually with Scott Long and does a fantastic job there, and she's our McKinney Vintage liaison. She's a special needs soccer coach, so she really would bring a lot to our PAC committee. And she showed interest in this role because she truly does know what it's like to have a student with special needs, and she has a lot of community connections, so I think could further grow our PAC. And each district is allowed to have two PAC reps, so we actually have another person who's interested as well, Jody Ostrowski. She has a student at the high school, and she's currently an administrative assistant at Doherty Elementary. So, while not required, it's interesting that we have both of our PAC reps who are current employees. She was a PAC rep a few years ago and then stepped down and then is now able to come back because she has more time on her hands, I think, as her kids get older. And she wants to be a PAC rep because she understands the importance of building a supportive community of parents and families of students with disabilities and really working in partnership with the district. She's a great collaborator. So those are our two recommendations for our PAC reps for the following school year.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we will vote on this for approval at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Agenda item number 4 is our E-rate firewall upgrade review. Wesley Prescott, Director of Field Services, Oakland Schools, will address the board.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. As we continue to look at cybersecurity and access for all of our students related to internet, it is time for a refresh of our district firewall. Again, it's a security appliance that is the first line of defense with any traffic coming in and the last line of defense with traffic going out. The new firewalls have a lot of cybersecurity features that we can take advantage of, some enhanced filtering and reporting, as well as some enhanced detection of any potential cybersecurity attacks before they get to our network. So Oakland Schools had released an RFP per E-rate guidelines. The bid opening was March 3rd. There were 4 bids that were received. The lowest qualified bidder was Delta Network Services, so we would be purchasing off of the Oakland Schools bid, cooperative bid, in the amount of $67,533, and that includes the hardware and licensing for 5 years.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Prescott?
What are we currently paying?
I don't know what we did last time. We do this every 5 years. The last time I believe we did 3 years, and then we renewed the licensing for an additional 2 to get us to this point. The licensing, if I had to guess, is about $9,000 to $10,000 per year.
We can get that for you.
Awesome.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
outdoor furniture and coral risers review, Jerry Sweeney from TMP. There she is.
Okay. Good evening. I will make this as brief as possible. I know everyone wants to get home this evening. So I'll go through this quickly and please, of course, I can take any questions. So first I'm presenting some follow-up items to the Chico furniture package. If you remember, the main package was approved with the board in December of 2025. So these are some additional items that we were always planning to purchase. So that is some outdoor and site furniture and coral risers, and then right after Chico, I'll go into the high school for the STEAM addition and renovation. So for Chico, outdoor and site furniture, we have this outdoor terrace right outside of the art room and the music room, so we call that the Fine Arts Terrace. Proposing some picnic tables out here, a quantity of 8 of those. That is an image of those picnic tables on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side are some marker boards to enhance that as a teaching and learning space. These marker boards are suitable for an exterior environment, so it will serve that function very well. And then we also have some outdoor benches all along the site. We worked with district leadership to establish the right quantity of those, but that is the design of those benches. And trash receptacles. I'm being really intentional about the design of those. You see they match the benches. And that is for the outdoor and site furniture for Chico, and now going into the coral risers. So these are the risers that the students will use for choir. And I'm showing you 2 different layouts, but know that the kit of parts that the district would be purchasing can be configured in any layout. They're very flexible, can be reconfigured. So this is layout A, just showing it on the stage, and then showing that same straight layout of the risers on the boardwalk. So if you remember the boardwalk area, you see the learning stairs right at the bottom there. That's another really wonderful performance space, so the risers can work in either space. That's layout A. Layout B is the curved. So again, with the same kit of parts, you can do straight or curved, whatever they prefer to do that day. And that's the layout on the stage, and then the same layout showing it to you on the boardwalk. And recommendation for procurement of these items, so that is the outdoor and site furniture and the coral risers at Chico. This total requested award amount right now is $96,019.97. You see when you combine that with the total award amount from December, our combined amount is just over $2.2 million, which is well below the bond budget for Chico. And we're still maintaining a positive variance of $192,788.76. So well within our budget. Any questions on Chico before I move to the high school?
I do. So for the Fine Arts Terrace, we have the picnic tables. How many students in total does that area sit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anywhere between 4 and 6 students per table, and we talked about that with district leadership. The little ones, they can probably get 6 to 8 at the table, but maybe once you get to the 4th and 5th graders, they might be more comfortable with 4 per table.
And so again, that's not for eating, that's just for, again, witnessing performances and things of that sort?
For the Fine Arts Terrace?
No, for the, Fine Arts Terrace.
Yeah, I mean, they can use those tables for whatever they need. The intention is for the music teacher or teacher to be able to take their class outside, to work outside, do a lesson, so whatever they choose to do. We wanted to keep it very flexible.
And those tables are movable?
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
The furniture at the elementary school at Chico, I know this may sound a little strange, but it's best, when you're talking about little kids, make sure that the furniture is either soft or has rounded edges.
Yes.
It's hard to tell from the pictures here whether that's true, but it looks like it could be.
It is,
So,
yes. Yes, yeah, the edges are rounded, there's no sharp points, and that's not a strange question at all. We definitely pay attention to that. And something I also wanna mention is one of those tables is ADA compliant for a student in a wheelchair, so there's that option as well.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Would you like to just move on to the high school?
Yes. So for West Bloomfield High School, we have our STEAM addition and renovation project. So what I'm bringing forward this evening is for phase 1 of the furniture package that will be installed in August of 2026. Phase 2 will be installed in the summer of 2027. That is the addition. So we're only talking about phase 1 tonight. So our first classroom space is the architecture and interior design classroom. The instructor is Mrs. Kelly Matson, and this is a space plan of her classroom. We reviewed this in depth with district leadership and Kelly as well. So we have different tiered seating, different heights for sight lines in the classroom. You'll notice that her teaching wall has been relocated to help those sight lines. There's a lot of functions that she needs to happen inside that room, teaching both architecture and interior design. So this accommodates all of those. And these are the student stations. So she has a benching system, which all of these will have, monitor arms with monitors on them for any of the computer work, and it'll still have table surface if she needs for drafting. There is still room in her classroom if she wants to keep some of her older drafting tables. Just some other furniture items. Storage. So mobile storage with totes. We noticed that the tote storage is very heavily used and something she definitely needs as opposed to a bunch of shelves. And we have a mobile storage unit. And she also needed an additional 3D printer table. We already purchased some of this furniture with some grant funds that we had last summer, so this supplements that really well. And some table surfaces. She noted that table surface is very important for students laying out materials and doing large projects. So we have a work island with totes. We have another work island, which is a very large surface, 4 feet by 6 feet, that, anywhere between 4 and 8 students can gather around. We also have some flip and nest tables there for ultimate flexibility. So a lot of surfaces and variety for her classroom and the teacher station. The second space we are furnishing this year is the engineering classroom, Mr. Millart's classroom. So very similar here. Mr. Millart has the tiered seating, so we have some seating at regular seated height, some at 34 inches high, and some at 42 inches high. Right now, Buddy's classroom is tiered, so that floor is being flattened out. So we're creating that tiered approach with the furniture, which increases the flexibility of the space and also the safety a lot. So you can see the green is the standing height tables, the orange is that mid-level, and the purple is that seated height. That allows Buddy to have sight lines to all the students. Same benching system as is in Kelly's classroom. Same type of storage. Buddy needed some more doors instead of totes, but he has the option to do both. And his teacher station is the same as Kelly's. And then just previewing phase 2, we did consider that as we were designing phase 1 to make sure everything is within the budget. So I completed a schematic furniture plan. You can see the labels here. Made sure with district leadership and the teachers and the users that we're heading in the right direction of what we're estimating. So again, this is for phase 2. This is just a conceptual plan, but this will be brought forward to you at this time next year and purchased and then installed next summer of 2027.
Wow.
It's a very cool space.
No, you thought of everything with the site elevations.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this is whoopsies. And then recommendation for procurement. We have our categories with manufacturers and dealers. All of these are dealers that the district has worked with before. We have our quote totals and then the consortium that they participate in. The quote total for phase 1 is $105,000, $816.84. We do have a contingency in there. So the total requested award amount for phase 1 is $116,398.52, which is well below the budget for STEAM. I also included that estimated cost for phase 2. So you see all in, we're still carrying the positive variance. Any questions?
Okay, well, great presentation. Does anyone have any questions? I think never.
So, just remind me, I know we're talking about furniture, but what goes on that teacher wall? Big screen, touchscreen?
That's a great question. So Kelly's teacher wall is a little bit different than Buddy's. Kelly's teacher wall, if you remember the teaching walls at Shigo are a system that actually looks like that image all the way on the right hand side. It's a bunch of totes with a monitor and sliding marker boards that go over that. So that is Kelly's teaching wall. So, I'll get there. So that is Kelly's wall right here. You can see that in plan.
Okay.
And then Buddy's teaching wall is more of what you're used to seeing in the district as standard marker boards mounted to the wall and a monitor. And that is Buddy's teaching wall is right over here.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see it.
Me too.
We all are.
Great, great project. Thank you.
Good job. Well,
Just, Dr. Hirsch, just thank you to Carrie, she really spent a lot of
as you
time.
can tell.
Yeah, at the high
You did a great
school
job.
with
Very good.
Kelly and Buddy. She met with them multiple
Oh, did I?
times.
Oh,
And we appreciate the collaborative work.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the teacher input's important.
thank you, Carrie.
thank you.
All right, agenda item number 7 is our bond and budget update. Tyler Mackey with Alp Construction will address the board.
Liz, can you zoom that in a little bit?
Yep.
Thank you.
I think so.
Well, I mean,
There you go.
I cannot see anymore for some reason. Yeah.
All right, with me is Bill Weinrock with TMP. He's gonna help us get through this evening. So we've given you a summary sheet that is updated, as of today. It has Doherty included in these, in the summary sheet. I guess, is there any questions about the summary itself? We do also have the breakdown budget sheet attached as well. But again, this has the Doherty Elementary costs included as well.
Keep going.
And then the Chico update. In January, with snow on the ground, we were focusing on finishing the exterior. So the metal panels were progressing in the first area. Some of the doors and windows along the north elevation were going in. And then since then, we've nearly finished the metal panels, roofing's complete, brick on the exterior is complete. Working on finishing the remaining exterior glass curtain wall framing. The soffit panels are actually going in now. Week by week, the project changes drastically since even these photos were taken. So the gym has the blue color on the ceiling, it's in the corridors. The acoustical wall panels in the gym are up, they're going up in the commons area, in the main part of the building, so work is progressing very quickly. You can see the huge sun in place lit up, with those acoustical panels hanging from the ceiling. We've got the campfire trees, we call them, in the clouds outside of the classroom. learning studios in place. Main concourse has the lighting underway. They're also installing those acoustical baffles that go in those high ceilings that kind of hide some of those bar joists that you can see currently. Glass and glazing at the learning studios is going in. We're getting ready for carpet. Carpet for the first area was delivered today. So finishes are beginning. So it's quite a sight to see. We average between 80 to 100 tradesmen a day on site, so we are on pace to finish on schedule, within budget. It's exciting. So. Any questions on Sheetgo?
So on schedule and within budget.
That's crazy. That's good.
Just curious, when do you guys plan on doing the playground? Like, do you think that'll be done this summer?
Yeah, so we have a meeting tomorrow to finalize some dates, but the rough grading will begin. We'll start setting the playground equipment in early May. Landscaping, yeah, the equipment's on site, but as far as setting that into place, we have some rough grading to do. We'll begin that work. Landscaping, fencing will follow in the month of May.
So if all goes well, that'll be ready for school.
Yeah, everything will be ready, fully functional for the start of school.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Wow, very impressive.
A quick question, just remind me, what is the student capacity for Sheepo?
600.
600?
That includes the preschool.
Yes.
Mm,
Well,
no.
we have 24 classrooms, right? 24 general ed classrooms, and we have a K-prep that could be used. So if you do 25 times the contractual limits and classrooms, that's anywhere from 26 to 28, you could theoretically fit 600 students within Chico Main K-5. Now, the way that the building is built, to see that preschool wing, if for some reason we saw population explosion in 10, 15 years, they can mimic that wing on the other side of the building if they had to. Like, everything has been capped off at that point if that needs to continue. Not that we're recommending, 800, 700 student elementaries, but if there was a need, it could be done.
So I thought it was 600 for K through 5, and what was the preschool
It's
number?
about 180.
Oh, but that's the
Yeah.
number I remember, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Did a great job, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
It's a great presentation.
We
It's
do have-
It's exciting.
We do have other work happening in the district, right? So Scotch and Chico, or Abbott, the lighting project is progressing. Nearly complete. I suspect those will be final, at least inspection-wise, later this month. And then, yes?
I don't know if you know this already, but what's an emergency inverter?
It's it converts power for the emergency lighting when there's an event of lost power to,
So it's like a battery backup?
I don't think it's a battery backup.
Generally, it's on generator.
Generator.
All of our buildings are on generators.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Alright, so the IT, have a battery backup lasts maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then you have a generator that's powering the main systems within an entire building. I didn't know if maybe this was something in between, maybe acted like that.
The generators are powering emergency services, so the inverters are required for all of the emergency lighting. So it doesn't power all the lighting, it just has to power the emergency lights. So if the kids were still in there in a power failure, they've got lighting to get out of the building.
Alright, that's what the inverter is.
Correct.
Alright, thank you.
It's with the lighting control system.
So it's basically battery backup for the emergency lighting in essence.
Yeah, the battery backups have gone away because of your generator. So we don't have batteries on the light fixtures anymore.
hold on, hold on.
No,
I wanna talk about all of our summer projects.
I don't wanna cut you off.
So outside of Chico, outside of the lighting project, we are starting Doherty this summer as well, right? So that's what the push is to get Chico done. We are fully anticipating to start the Doherty project this summer, which will be equally exciting for everybody. The STEAM CTE space will be beginning this summer as well. Drastic changes are gonna be happening at the high school, including the kitchen, so a renovated kitchen space. We do have some HVAC, so furnace and lighting replacements at Kretschko. And then our secure vestibule at Abbott as well. So a lot of things happening within the district. It's gonna be a busy summer. But we are fully capable and excited to do so.
Now? Yeah, question?
Just, we'll also be doing the middle school lockers, the ones that, the paint defects, those will all be changed out.
As far as I know, at the current moment, yes,
Yes.
that is the plan.
I know Jamie, rejected them again, so, well, we're waiting now on version 3, so it wasn't up to his quality standards, so.
We want to get it right.
Yeah, the paint has to, and it's done with like electromagnetic, so it is hard to get it to stick to the metal, but they need to figure that out. They got it right with one set of lockers, but we'll get there. Cause they have been, the size of the lockers has certainly been, better, an improvement.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item, nothing will be complete in the study session unless we heard from Nancy Hoover. So she's gonna talk to us about budget to actual in March. Good job. Looks good. I'm gonna go to school.
It's at 6:30, May 18th.
Oh, good.
All right, so this is a budget to actual for May, sorry, March. I wish it was May. Anyway, under revenue, the federal revenue, our Title I, our consolidated application, the timeline this year has been really behind. So right now, we have submitted our amendment, but we are in the, waiting for our approval on that, so we have not been able to request any funds yet, because you can't request funds until it's approved. So that's why we're lagging behind a little bit there in federal revenue. In adult ed, we're in a similar situation. We have been awarded an additional $45,000, but we had to submit an amendment, and we are waiting for approval on that amendment. And once that is approved, then I can adjust the budget and increase it for the additional money, which is about $45,000. Instructional staff support, this I've mentioned the last couple of months. In the summer, we had a 35J literacy improvement grant, which the majority of that was used in the summer. So that's why we're a little ahead in spending there. General administration, we are just in general spending less in this area. So we're showing that variance. Under transportation, we have been in talks with the transportation company, just over billing and really making sure that what they're billing us is correct. Some of our bills have been a little bit high, so we have not paid them since December. So we will be getting that caught up now that Jamie finished his talks with them before he left. And so we will be processing those payments now that we're in agreement on those bills. And then again, other financing uses. Again, in the past, we have had transfers to other funds that were budgeted, and in this year, we do not have that. The only thing that's in other financing uses is our payments for our copier leases. So, and we're just a little bit ahead of where we were last year at the same time.
Probably because of transportation, but.
Yes,
We're pretty much on
those are
par.
large bills, and
Yeah.
it will affect it, yep.
Questions so far?
I need a question. Nancy, can you remind me what added needs are under instruction?
Added needs, that includes special education, so our function 122, which is direct special education instruction, does not include additional services like speech, psych, social work. It doesn't include those services, just direct special ed instruction. It also includes our bilingual teaching, and anything that's in additional to the classroom. A lot of our grant funds are in there. Title money.
And when we talk about local grant money, money that the district receives, in the revenue column, where does that belong?
For local grants,
Mm-hmm.
it would be under local revenue.
Oh,
State grants would be under state, federal under federal.
Keep going.
So let's do with that one.
thank you.
Oh, she's the next.
Oh, it's
You
just
want
a
it to be-
PDF.
Yeah. Oh, it's not the.
There's presentation room if you want.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, you were. Oh, there we go. See, I couldn't log in. All right. Okay. Okay, we, just hit the arrow, yeah. We have these are our very preliminary budget assumptions for the 26-27 budget. So under revenue, we are looking at a reduction in student enrollment between 200 and 220 student FTE, and this is pending our school of choice enrollment. So we will hopefully narrow that down a little more once we see where we stand with those openings. Our blended membership remains at 90-10 balance for the 2026 count dates, so that's February and the count in the fall. The governor's proposal includes a 2.5% increase to the base per pupil foundation, which is about $225 per student. We have not seen yet what the state and the House proposals are, so we're still waiting on that. Our MIPSR's UAL stabilization rate is going to be 13.51 this year. In the current fiscal year, it is 15.02. This is a decrease of 1.51. The reason I put it in here, it doesn't have a budget impact, but it does affect the total amount of revenue and the total amount of expenses. So our revenue and expenses will go down as a result of this reduction. We're going to budget our IDEA and our title grants. They're going to be budgeted at the 25-26 amount, and our at-risk will be budgeted at the 25-26 amount as well.
Nancy, you said 225 per student, but your slide says 250.
Oh, sorry, I meant 250.
Okay, that's fine.
I did not. 250 is the correct amount.
Can we talk about revenue before we go on to expenditure?
Certainly.
The student enrollment reduction estimated to be between 200 and 220. What was this year's reduction in enrollment?
About 250.
256, I think exactly. And again, a large part of that has been the larger senior class that exits out with the this is, we should have maybe one more larger class coming out and entering. That's a conservative number. As you can see, there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, the state has not, the Senate and the House have not released their budgets. At risk, again, we hear a lot about it increasing in funding. So basically, we're just going with what we know as of today. The budget process is long from over. This is just, we always share this right now because we're at the kind of the beginning of the budget cycle. Just to let you know what's kind of shaping our thinking as Nancy and we build fiscal year 27 budget. There's, right now, these are all assumptions at this point because even the governor's budget, I think we know that it probably won't be exactly that. So there is talk though in Lansing that we should get a budget before July 1st. I know, I said I have a straight face, but
You've heard that a lot.
I know, so that's where we're at. The enrollment number, yeah, it's again, we tend to go with the conservative number, based on that. There's also just, we've done enrollment studies, there's just fewer birth rates, there is just population loss, not only in West Bloomfield, but in the state.
I just wanna make sure
The
you're
reality, yeah.
being conservative enough to
Yeah.
not.
I think we are. I think this number is, you might see that come down a little bit, or right around 200 is my guess at, knowing what I know today.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the IDEA and the title grants, those tend to be federal dollars, is that?
They are
right?
federal dollars.
Federal, yes.
And it's budgeted at this year's amount. Have we gotten, or are we going to be getting what we budgeted for this year for IDA and the title
Yes,
grants?
actually, we got a little more in IDA than we did last year, and we actually got a little more in title, which is a little bit unusual. We typically don't get more in title.
I just wanna make sure.
But we do. There's also the factor that some of it, if we don't spend our entire title allocation, that does carry over, so then that also factors in to what we budget for next year.
Thank you.
One of the things we talked about, we have again, I mentioned it earlier, our local district grants. Can we now include what we expect for revenue from a local perspective? Because again, I know it's kind of comes from one-off, but we should have a schedule of what we anticipate and what we hope to get.
Correct.
And then we can then include that and understand how we're kind of controlling ourselves and what we are getting grants for from a revenue perspective. So it'd be great to see that within the year as well.
That we do, Nancy, you want to?
Well, our two largest grants are the IDEA grant and the consolidated application. Those are our two largest grants. Our local, we don't get a great deal of local grants. The biggest amount, the largest percentage of our local revenue is our taxes, which, that's based on the number of kids we have, what we are allowed to collect. So that we always, we're always pretty close on when we calculate that.
There's some grants through Oakland schools and things like this and others that we're actually working to see, will that continue into next year? Unfortunately, again, those sometimes come very late. Like, for example, Oakland schools, actually the day right before break told us, oh, we've been awarded a safety grant, so each district gets X dollars. And so we got the safety grant in April, and it's due to them in a month, and we have to provide them how we will expend that money, this fiscal year and get that done. So some of the local ones are just more unpredictable, but Nancy is working hard because we do need some of those grants. They're important for particular positions within the district that are really important. So that will be a part of the budget process.
Because I hear us talking about, we're saying, oh, we got a grant and Johanna got a grant and this and the other. So, and that's great work, but I'm saying, can we now, understand what that revenue looks like or what we're supposed to have, or what we're getting on a yearly basis? Because again, if we add it up, is it 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and 4, or is it 100,000 or 200,000? So again, that's good for us to know and for what we should be going after. So we at least can set a marker or a goal.
Is it safe to assume that the grants change every year, like what's available and how much?
Yes.
And then that's an assumption, I guess, I don't know that that's
Yes.
true.
A lot
It
of
is. I mean,
it's, yeah.
our
Okay.
IDEA, our title,
Those are,
every year. There's a few others that we get every year, but, just in the past, I don't know, 4 years, there have been new grants that they come out with all the time.
like the literacy ones and things like that.
Yeah, some specific literacy, we do have a literacy, a smaller one that we get every year, that we use, to pay for our LADAs. But then there's other ones that come up, other literacy grants that come up that we haven't had before. The 31N, that's the one, Johanna?
31N6.
Yeah, that's one that, we've had the last couple years. So that's, that's been one, and then we got one, similar to that, Stronger Connections, very similar grant, paying for almost exactly the same thing, different buildings. Again, these are not grants we've gotten in the past, but the state has seen a need for these types of services, so they offer up the grants. They don't do it at the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, they, keep dropping them on us as we go.
I have two quick questions. One, you said the title money can get rolled over. Does that show poorly that we don't need the money?
No.
They won't give us, they'll give us less
No.
in the, okay, I just wanna make
Nope,
sure. I was like,
it's based on need.
Perfect,
That's-
okay, awesome.
No, it's just a factor of what's going on. I mean, we don't roll over a lot, but we do roll over some.
Awesome. And then my second question was, like, for example, the safety grant, Danya, that you just mentioned from ISD, is that, can we use that on a project that we're about to do, for example, like the vestibule, or does it have to be a new
No,
initiative?
it can actually even be something that is currently happening. So like our Epic systems that we're currently doing in all the buildings, we can kind of supplant it to relieve it,
Okay.
which, to be
That's
honest,
good.
that's what we'll probably do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Expenditures. So we just received a word that the insurance hard cap is gonna go up 3%. That will start, so we'll basically see just half of that in the year, because that doesn't, come into effect until January of '27. We'll have an increase of 1.43, in our custodial contract, it's, 26,900. There also could be some increases to custodial based on opening our new building. It is a little bit larger, and so we're still working that out, with our company. Jamie told me to say that.
I didn't really.
We have a 3% increase in our transportation contract. We are anticipating a reduction of 9 to 12 positions through attrition. This will result in an estimated savings of between 1.5 million and 1.8 million. We are also, as part of that, looking to combine middle school and high school bus routes, which is a reduction of approximately 218,000, and the elimination of middle school and high school shuttles, which is a reduction of approximately 55,000. Then we also, our contracts for the first year, I think in a long time, are actually closed. So we already have salary increases in our bargaining unit contracts, and this will be an increase of approximately $2 million.
Nancy, when you said that increase of 3% to the legislative insurance hardship, what amount of dollars is that?
It really won't be that much. I didn't figure it out, but again, we'll only see about 1.5%, because again, it doesn't start till
Half the year.
Yeah, it's half the year. Those increases are on a calendar year basis, and our medical insurance is also on a calendar year basis.
So just for clarification, if anyone isn't sure, hard cap, basically the state says you can pay X amount towards an employee's health insurance. Anything over it, if it costs more, the employee has to cover that cost. But each year, they know that healthcare plans, guess what? They're going up a lot more than 3%, So what they do is they increase that hard cap by a certain percentage. If not, an employee would bear the burden of, you know, of those increases. So that's, you know, that was implemented a long time ago in a way that would force you to, you know, shop around for health coverage and understand that anything over the hard cap would have to be covered by, the employee. I just wanted to know also on the middle school, high school routes, we have extremely low ridership at the high school. Sometimes you'll see a bus passing and it's 15 kids on the bus, 10 kids on the bus. And as you can tell from our parking lot, the majority of kids are driving to school, or being picked up. It just, there's really a small amount of high school ridership, but the way that the district is boundary, you're going in 4 different directions for those routes, which causes there to be a lot of routes for high school. So, it's just something that we really have to look at. And then those savings really only include literally the route. There will be wear and tear on the bus, gas, there's other savings that we can't compute because we don't wanna look at gas and diesel prices right now. So that fluctuates with things, so basically I just wanted to explain that a little bit, that, you know, we have to make reductions, and that's, you know, one that has come up.
So I have a question. You talked about the high school, for the elimination of the middle school and high school shuttles. The shuttles, what's the ridership on the shuttles and who does the shuttle service?
So those are completely school choice students, and they're pretty full. So basically, it's a stop, and basically what it does is it keeps increased traffic out of car lines. So basically, parents or families will meet at a location, let's say a church parking lot. The bus you can drop off all the kids, and then they get on the bus and they take them to either the high school or the middle school respectively. But it's only used by school choice students.
So that elimination will create what for the school choice families?
Yeah, it'll create a little bit of hardship for sure. I mean, there is hardship, but at the same time, really transportation, for school choice students, one thing that we made clear is that we don't provide any transportation. Now, the shuttle in a case was done to help with some of our car lines. That doesn't exist now at this particular middle school. We don't have those issues. We won't have that issue at the high school. We kept it at the elementary because kids are younger and it's, the start time is much later. Whereas at the high school, you can drop off your student to the high school by 7:15 a.m. to catch breakfast. It's not gonna create, kind of like an issue in terms of, well, I have to be at work and the elementary starts at 9 p.m. So the elementary shuttles would stay intact. For the high school, I think, again, there's gonna be some people who definitely, it's a service that I think when economic times are good, we offer those services, but, the reality is that, transportation that's made clear when you're accepted via school choice, that we do it when we can, but it's not a guarantee.
So how long have we had the shuttles for the middle school and high schools within the district?
I can't answer that. My assumption would be, and I don't know if anyone can help me, my thinking would be at least 15.
So my concern there is that for 15 years, we've been offering, this shuttle service for the middle school, the high school, and the elementary school. The ridership is high. So people are definitely using that service. And to discontinue that service would cause hardship on the families. And we're talking about $55,000. So, perhaps so we won't have that type of blowback for families of our school of choice students who seem to really use the service. Is there another way that we can then take out the $55,000 or some other way we can get that savings and then not cause hardship to those families? Because again, we're talking 15 years is a long time to have a service that I think that families are using. And I would say by this time, they may, be counting on that as far as their family planning and, again, they are part of our student body.
Are we changing start times?
Slightly. Very slightly.
What's that look like?
So those times have not been, we have not finalized those, but we're talking a difference of, not more than 10 to 15 minutes.
For each of them. So, for example, you have a middle schooler and a high school at the same bus stop, right? And we drop the high school off first,
Yes, and then the middle.
and then the
school.
middle school. Okay, how long is that? Cause I mean, right now it's almost is it an hour or 45 minutes?
No, none of our bus routes are longer than.
No,
She's
sorry,
all
the
over.
start times.
Oh, I apologize, yeah, so
Sorry.
right now, the high school starts at 7:30, and, the middle school starts at, I believe, 8:12. Those will be, yes, those will be closer, and they'll both inch towards each other. So it might look at like 7:45 and 8, but again, I don't have those exact times yet. But it's not gonna pull it up to like, the middle school's not gonna start at 7:45.
It's just that they're getting up earlier,
Yeah,
right? Like
I hear
it's,
ya.
they're gonna be gone longer from home and stuff like that, so I was just curious what that looks like, okay.
We'll get home earlier.
Yeah, if you go earlier, you get
Yeah.
home earlier.
Yeah.
Right, no, but that's why I was asking if we're
Oh, yeah, yeah,
switching it, because
yeah,
if we weren't,
Yeah.
right, then
No, then
that
it-
makes it
yes.
longer for
Yeah.
students.
And then would it allow, I know you don't have exact times, so I'm not quoting you on it, but would elementary start
Could
potentially
be a little,
bit
potentially a
earlier?
little bit
So they
earlier.
could get out a little earlier,
Yeah.
which would be
We're trying hard to get to the north side of, I
4
guess,
o'clock.
4 o'clock.
So another question for me is for the salary increases across all bargaining unions, that is because of the negotiation that was done?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
2-year contracts for all of our bargaining units.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you. Good job. All right, moving on to agenda item number 10 is our broadcasting TriCaster purchase review with Scott Long.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm here to do a preliminary recommendation for a TriCaster for the West Bloomfield Broadcasting Program. This is what a TriCaster looks like if you've never seen one. And essentially what a TriCaster does is it's an industry standard device that allows for high quality video production for students, really to allow them to gain real world experience in the world of broadcasting and video production. The new TriCaster that we're recommending has added audio and video features and feeds, higher production value than the current one, which is close to its end of life. And they also have professional support and an annual subscription for the system to make sure that kids and staff know how to navigate the system effectively. Our rationale, the broadcasting program is a key component of our CTE programming, a career and technical education programming. They offer great opportunities for our students and an even better product when you think about student videos and student news and things that they send throughout the community. Students that participate in this program and the classes, they really produce high quality video production for the school and the community. And as I mentioned before, the current TriCaster is about to say bye-bye. So if we don't purchase one, it's gonna be really hard for them to have the high quality video production that they currently have. We can leverage CTE funding to cover the cost of this important purchase. And so we're recommending the approval of the purchase of a new TriCaster from Forte in the amount of $41,805.21, using the REMC contract 26-2345.
How old is the order?
It's over, I wanna say over 15 years, yeah.
Art?
The CTE funds that you referenced, that's
it's separate, it's, what would you call that?
It's a grant.
It's a grant.
Yeah.
It's a grant through the state, 61.
61D.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to item 11, school of choice second window, 2026-27 review.
Okay, so the last time we talked about schools of choice for approval, this was what the Board of Education approved in December. 110 elementary students, K-5 for criteria-based STEAM, 25 for the middle school for criteria-based STEAM, and then 80 at 9th and 10th grade. Currently, we have set, as of the time that I built this slideshow, and I'm sure it's changed since then, 72 kindergarten enrollments or enrollments in progress, 34 first through 5th grade students, all of which met criteria. We had 4 more that were just about to come off the wait list to round out that total amount. The middle school, all 25 slots were full and families had enrolled. At the high school, a little bit different story, but very similar to what we've seen in years past. We've had 35 9th graders that met criteria that were in progress of enrollment, and 7th, 10th graders. So that's still 38 more eligible applicants that we're seeking out. If you look at last year, we had 111 students that applied in the second window that the Board of Education approved, and 35 of those met criteria. So we're optimistic that if we run another window, we're gonna get the exact amount of candidates that we need that are high quality candidates. So we'll be recommending a second criteria-based schools of choice window for 9th and 10th grade at West Bloomfield High School for the STEAM program that would not exceed our original 80 slots that were approved back in December. And again, this would be for 9th and 10th grade applicants only, and the window would be from May 22nd to June 5th to apply. And that's all.
And that'll come to us at the next meeting.
Correct.
I just want to say that I appreciate that you guys hold the standards and, you know, a second window, but holding the same standards seems very reasonable.
Thanks.
I love this criteria.
Yeah, like not going above
Yeah.
any other slots that we already approved. Also, the same criteria is really what I meant, like not lowering the standard.
Right, to get more people.
To get more people,
Yeah.
right.
Anyone else? Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. All right, moving on. Agenda item number 12 is our Neola updates. Volume 40, number 2, February 2026, first reading. Superintendent Bazey will address the board.
All right. On March 23rd, the policy committee met with Wayne Wright from Neola for our volume 40, number 2 updates. There's not anything really, significant, you know, that would say, hey, you really, obviously read over it, but there's nothing where it's anything controversial or things out of the ordinary. Some key updates is that they've updated some policy definitions. We also noticed that there were certain definitions that we didn't have included, like the definition of a student, superintendent, things like this, so we added those back in. The staff ethics, it's interesting, we had this under the 3000s for professional staff, but staff ethics wasn't covered in the other employee groups, which that actually came into like a legal discussion, Neola said, where some people argued, well, you don't have a staff ethics policy for support staff. You only have it for X, Y, and Z. So this is just creating the same policy we already have, but across all employee groups, so it stays standardized. There's gonna be things that, online and blended learning. Prior to this year, you were allowed to use virtual days and count them as instructional days. The state has changed that. You can no longer use those. So when school districts were saying this is a completely virtual day, that no longer counts, so the policy has to update with regard to that. Volunteers, they've rescinded the policy on volunteers and merged it into a new one. So you're gonna see certain policies that are completely wiped out by Neola, but then they have the replacement one included into those policies. There's things, again, on obviously wireless communication devices because of the new cell phone law. And we will be working on implementing the administrative guidelines based on what the board approves, by approving this, this new policy. There's things that are just very typical, like the bid threshold of what's the amount that you have to bid. Certain projects for, that number changes every year with the state, so then that, Neola has that update. They have an artificial intelligence, policy, that, establishes regulations for AI. We will, based on this policy, we will create an AI committee, yet another committee. And we will create an AI committee to make sure that that policy, is implemented, as directed. There's going to be one policy that we included, that's separate, well, it's with the Neola update, but it's separate. It's credits, from non-public schools, it's policy 5463. What we needed the policy to do is establish what happens when a parent, let's say, homeschools their children, right? And basically, right now, like, if we ask, say somebody's being homeschooled and we say, we want a transcript, they could literally write it on a paper and say, they got an A in 6th grade math, or 8th grade, which is fine, but then we have stipulations then on how your GPA is calculated. Right now, we don't do valedictorian, salutatorian, but if we did, or if we did a top 10 or things like this, we have rules in place that say, if, based on where your credits are coming from, we're establishing rules, of what's counted and what's not. I mean, we'll accept them and figure the way to properly document that on the transcript. So that's, you'll see in your lovely Neola packet, you'll see that as, I believe it's the last page, and you'll see the top was the existing policy, and this is the recommendation for changes. So if you have any questions over the next couple weeks on any of the Neola updates, it's very clear on what we're accepting, not accepting. There's certain things that you don't really have an option. We know the drill now. If it has parentheses or bracket, that's where you have some choice, but otherwise, pretty basic